Hello and welcome back. Today I'll be discussing everything you need to know about the two-path system for Model United Nations in crisis committees. In a crisis committee, you have what's called a front room and a back room. In the front room, you work with the other delegates to solve any crises that result from updates, and these updates come from the crisis staffers. You work with other delegates to make directives or set of plans to deal with these updates. Let's say that in this front room, you work really hard to end world hunger by pledging your support in the directives. But let's say you also have a secret desire of taking over a country. For several reasons, suggesting this in a directive in the front room would be a very bad idea, which is why you can get this done in what's known as a back room. The back room is made up of crisis staffers, which is where they make the updates that you have to deal with in the front room. Now, how can you achieve your secret goal? Well, you can't come in on day one and take over a country. You need to develop an army and get some resources before you do so. Similar to how a book has a story arc, you have what's called a crisis arc, and your crisis arc should build up to the final goal, or the climax. Now, how can you, the delegate, actually get these resources? This is done through your two legal pads, hence the name, the two-pad system. You treat each pad like a letter to anyone in the world, and that's the purpose of the pads. You send mails to anyone in the world who can help advance your arc. In this case, I'd probably want to send it to an army general who has the same goals as me, and maybe a corrupt businessman who has the money to help me. Now keep in mind, these people don't have to actually exist in real life. You can send them to anyone you want, but let's go over some rules first. Number 1. You have to be specific in what you want in each letter. The people who review and respond to these letters are the crisis staffers, who determine if your arc can progress or slow down. If you say, for example, "let's raid them now," without any specifications, then your response would be that a local shopkeeper has been raided by an army, and I'm not so sure that's your goal. To fix this, make sure you underline the specifics of what you're asking for, and make sure you provide a TLDR or a summary at the bottom of each note if possible. Remember, the people reading these letters are humans, and they go through hundreds of letters. Making their lives just a bit simpler might help your crisis arc progress more. Next, make sure you're being reasonable in what you're requesting. If you're not being reasonable, the crisis staffers can respond in such a way that ruins your whole arc. This also means that you should be prepared with other ways to go with your arc if needed. The events in your arc can actually become updates in the front room if they're very successful, so make sure you know how to deal with the update in the front room if it comes about. And most importantly, make sure that no one knows what your arc is, unless you're planning to work with someone and you trust them completely. Also, refrain from mentioning other delegates unless you're working with someone, because if you do mention other delegates, then all you're doing is giving more attention to them, and that's not something your letter should be doing. Other than that, you now know the basics of what the two-pad system is. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, goodbye.